Here we go. My number is 418-243. My name is Lori Campbell. My instructor is Myra. The assignment is female perennial care with a brief. Thank you. Do your hand hygiene before you enter the room. Read the client's care plan. See if there's anything that you need to know about the client that may be above average, or if the client has any other needs or anything else that's listed on the care plan that can aid or give you information about the task in which you're about to perform on the client. Before you enter the room, do the hand hygiene, clean your hands properly, do the knock, knock, knock. Introduce yourself to the client. My name is Lori Campbell. Hello, Mrs. Smith. How are you this morning? I'm here to give your perennial care for you. I'm going to wash and make you feel comfortable. If that's okay with you, it is okay. Can I just see your ID bracelet, Ms. Smith, just to make sure that you are Mrs. Smith? Very good. Thank you. That's very good. I'm going to start your care right now, and I'm just going to go and get some supplies. If that's okay, I'll be right back with you very shortly. Thank you. I'm going to bring forward supplies. When you enter the room, before you touch anything in the room, you sanitize your hands. I will bring that sanitizer. So when you get in the room, you sanitize your hands before you get in. You do the knock knock. You introduce yourself. You sanitize your hands when you're in the room, maybe even before you touch her. Actually, you gather your supplies, which include two towels, which are appropriately folded in a fan fold position so they can be applied in a safe manner. The 4 washcloths, which you may need or may not. Try not to let them, don't put them on the floor, and if you can put them in the basin. Put a towel on the table in which you're going to put your supplies on. Wipe the table first, or if you don't have a place a towel, place some paper towel and then put your supplies on top so they remain clean, so that if what you don't use, you can reuse. Take your basin, fill it, take it to the washroom, fill it half full with water. Use the temperature thermometer to measure the temperature, which would be 40.5 to 42.7 for perennial care. Check the water yourself if there's no thermometer. Use your wrist, elbow. Bring the basin over to the client. Have the client herself test the water if she's able. She may not be able to test it. So just to ensure, you may want to retest it again. What we're going to do is cover the client with a bath sheet. If you don't have a bath sheet, then use the top sheet on the bed, which may be the same as a bath sheet. Right now, I just am using a towel to drape the client. Once the client is draped, you fan fold the linens back to the foot of the bed in a fan. This is hard to do, so we'll just lift that so you can see this. So it goes back and forth right to the end of the bed in a nice safe position. The client is this wouldn't be off it, it'd be on top of that, so the client would not be exposed, and you would remove anything from the waist down if you had to. If it's soiled, put it in the proper waste bin. If you're afraid that the linens are soiled or that the garments are soiled, put on gloves. Make sure that you've provided privacy for the client. make sure that you've done the safety check on the bed before you begin. Make sure that this bed is raised with both rails on to the proper height for the safety and of your own safety, so that you don't cause no one an injury. Make sure this bed rail that the side you're working on is lowered when you perform your tasks, and then you proceed. So once you have the safety check and you've done, do the safety check, privacy check, do all this, cover the client with the bath sheet, fan fell this to the end of the bed, remove the garments, wear gloves. Just wear gloves anyway because they're kind of cool. Make sure you sanitize your hands before you put the gloves on, and make sure everything's put in the proper wasting. If anything's soiled, it never goes on the bed. If it's soiled, it doesn't drop to the floor. Nothing ever does. The client's all set to go. If the client needs to be positioned properly, you make sure that the client is brought as close to you, possibly close to you in the proper safety procedures that may take you 3 positions to get the clients lined up properly in the bed. If the client can lift its buttocks, have the client bend the knees and lift the buttocks up as you remove the clothing. The same will apply for the brief and any other tasks. So the client, you first put on the waterproof pad, which is fan held if you have to turn and move the client or position the client. Otherwise, you can just have the client bend their knees and lift their buttocks up. In this case, we're going to just lift the buttocks up with the knees bent in almost like a squatting position with the knees in a bent position, but the client is in a sub-laying position. If you need to move that, have that client positioned to put this under, you can turn the client in a lateral position away from you, so you can put the waterproof pad underneath it. So therefore the client could be turned like this, the pad in a fan fell position pressed into the bed. So when the client is therefore turned backwards, the client also can be supported by a pillow if they're even unable to do that, and then you could therefore just pull out the pads on the other side so it's centered. The client remains covered as much as possible till the time you need to expose an area. So right now we have our gloves on, we got our supplies right here, got extra gloves if we need. If you touch soiled linens or the laundry, you would change these gloves, sanitize your hands, and then put on a fresh pair of gloves. So right now we're going to remove the brief. When you remove the tabs, take the tabs. Try not to be careful because they like to stick to things. You always remove the brief or pad from the front to the back in a rolling position. You can remove excess if there's anything there. It's removed forward. You can get the client to lift their buttocks with their knees bent and remove the brief. The brief does not touch the bed. It does not touch anything. It is rolled up in a rolled position, and these tabs are sealed. The brief is sealed, not dropped. Sealed properly, put in their proper disposable container. Any liquids or fluids off a client is considered hazardous. We're just going to reopen this because I have to put this back on. But you wouldn't do that, normally be dirty. So you grab your washcloth, you dip it. We're going to do both methods of soap and rinsing. So it's folded like this, and down and up you go. Put soap on all 3 sides. So this area can be cleaned as much as you need to, excuse me, with paper towels. That's why you bring paper towels, which can then therefore be also disposed into the brief. The brief can lie open here. You could use the paper towels to clean really lots of excess. When you remove the brief, then you would save your, it would be a cleaner, much thorough way of getting rid of or cleaning up a client. It doesn't matter what side you start on, right or left, the farthest your needs is, just as long as you do a nice clean swipe down the labia majora, and the same thing on this, the labia majora. Keep the cloth, rinse it off, make sure you squeeze excess water, hold it, put the soap. If you wipe the labia majora from left to right side, use soap, then you rinse, labia majora, rinse. Make sure it's clean, your cloth, don't have stuff sticking to it if it's really messy. Put on soap, spread the top of the labia, do the labia minora from the left to right side, up from the top to bottom. Always do cleanest to dirtiest, top to bottom. Same thing, rinse it out. Again, clean it till it's clean, or you're satisfied, turn to washcloth or your hand to where it's clean, rinse it out. Same thing, put it on, put the soap on, do the clitoris, the urethra, and the vagina. Make sure it's clean. If there's lots of stuff, you may want to just wipe one side or the other, and maybe, who knows how filthy it might be. I didn't say that word, or dirty. But you may just want to go right down the middle, and the same thing, do a rinse. Tuck it in, make sure it's tucked in, and a rinse, and you're clean. So top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom. And you take the towel and you dry it, because it makes, oh, and don't forget to ask the client that he has to use the washroom, because often things will make them go need to urinate. So now we wash that area and dried it, you rinse it. If this water ever gets dirty or filthy, change it. You can change as many times as you want. You can change your gloves also as many times. So we wash the pubis, cross, turn your hand down or side, just as long as the cloth is clean, and the swipe, the clean is from top to bottom, top to bottom. Rinse, same thing, squeeze out the extra water, and try do it as quickly as possible. So across, rinse, down, and down. So top to bottom, top to bottom. Take the towel, dry the area. Make sure that it's all clean and very dry. So you want it clean, you can turn the towel around, dry it very quickly and thoroughly. Now the client is either going to help you or won't be able to aid you. If the client cannot aid you, you're going to have the client cross his arms and his legs, arms across the chest to prevent any injury, and also the legs to turn him in the lateral position. And the same thing, if the gloves are soiled, change the gloves. You don't want to be wearing soiled gloves. Soap. So we clean from clean to dirty, top to bottom, this side, this area. Again, rinse, very rinse. So clean, rinse, top to bottom, top dirty to clean, rinse. Same thing. We're gonna put soap. Now this part here, across the rectum, you spread the cheeks, because this area is going to have that. So when you clean this, you clean and then swoosh. So when you go down and swoosh. So this is really, really important. So you can turn this and then up. So once you go right down the middle of the rectum, you just do a swoosh at the very bottom. So none of that ever touches anybody. Then the same thing, you rinse, hold your washcloth, do it very carefully, and the same thing, rinse, and then clean. And once you get to the bottom, poof, you're done. Rinse it, pat dry, make sure that it's dry. Make sure this is dry, that's really important. And make sure it's dry there. The buttocks, clean to dirty, spread the crack, and then one big swoosh. Have the client turn back with his arms crossed, or if he's capable of turning back onto that. If the client isn't, and this pad is dirty or clean, you could possibly remove it if it got soiled before you put the brief on, or if it hasn't been soiled, which is my question too, is that you could put the brief, and then when they turn back, it could be pressed into the lateral position and then fit back on the brief. But this time, we're just going to have the client raise their buttocks, place the brief, make sure the tabs are in the right position, and you don't get it backwards. So the client's going to raise its buttocks with its knees bent. You center this, center the pad, make sure it's the proper pad for the individual. Make sure that these things are proper. I'm going to just roll that towel back so they're all nice and not folded over so the client won't have leakage, which is really, really important. Not only the fit, you check the skin. Every time you turn that, you see that client, you should be checking for something actually, because people can have things going on that they're not even aware of. So the one tab across, the bottom one goes straight across. And where is this tab? Here we go. I know I've used this about 10 times or more. I hope I get this right. You always check the skin or ask the client if the client has any issues. So this guy goes here, so they'll be both not too tight. Make sure these are fitting properly. That's probably a little tight there. And the same thing with these. These can be placed at a slight angle. Oh, where the other one went to? Here it is. But make sure that they are closed and there's no leakage. And every part of it fits actually. So there you go. So these guys should go like that. And these guys have a nice clean fit. So the tabs go straight across and straight across at a slight angle. So once the brief is on, you can have the client roll this off and they can lift their buttocks up. If you can't, then you're going to have to turn that client into the lateral position, and you could push it from this side, and then when you have them turn, remove the disposable pad. Make sure you don't throw things anywhere. It's in the right waistband. Position the client properly in the bed. Return if the client needs to be dressed. Dress the client properly. Then fold the linens if the linens need to be changed. Remove the towel, the bath sheet and the towel as such. Make sure the linens are nice and smooth with no creases. Make sure ask the client if he has any other needs, if he needs anything else. Make sure they're in a comfortable position. Do provide safety. Put the bed rail, take your gloves off. Make sure the gloves are taken off properly if they're not dirty. Even if they are dirty, they should be taken off. This glove is broken. That's another thing. Don't make sure your gloves aren't damaged. When you take your gloves off, make sure that you're taken off properly, because maybe you have touched something and you don't even know in the perennial area, especially with gloves. So you pull your gloves off like this, like that, and then this one you'd flip, and so nothing actually was touched, which prevents a lot of things. That guy's coming off there. And they go in the proper disposable things. That glove was broken, so you should check your equipment, your gloves first too, because that one possibly could add a hole. So once you ask the client, you've provided the perfect linen beds already, you're going to therefore then lower the client, put the bed rail up while you make sure that both of you may check the bed again for breaks just in case. Lower the bed to the proper position the client says the care plan is requested at, or lower it in a position and make sure the bed rails are adjusted to the client's care plan. Put the call bell within easy reach of the client. I will ask my client if she needs anything else that she can just call, and then wish her a good day, or just say to her, I hope you feel better and enjoy the rest of your day. And tell her you're gonna just clean up your supplies. You take all your supplies, make sure the linen, there wouldn't be anything here. Anyways, everything would be in its proper wasting. The only thing you'd have to empty is the basin. There wouldn't be anything else. The towels would be in the proper linen, in the laundry where they're supposed to be. Her linens would be in her linen place or wherever it's supposed to be. This would have to be rinsed, sanitized, wiped out, and replaced in its proper position. If you had any excess uh, linen or towels that weren't used, you could possibly return them to the shelf since you practice sanitization. Make sure you sanitize your hands before you leave that room, and record and report your care plan. If we're up in modern times, it would be right there, possibly electronic thing to record what you've done that day. So the client might end up getting a second bath if she's incoherent, or who knows what could be. This one wasn't. So thank you, Mrs. Smith. I hope you have a great day, and thank you, Myra, for watching this video. Thanks. Okay, run. Come, quick, we're done. I'm not doing no more. Okay, come and have a look at it. I put it on pause or something. Do I stop the recording?
Stop it now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The red?
But the rest of it you paused? So
No!
No, I'm Lori.
That.
Fucking stop yelling at me.